It is time to press snooze on the news and turn to the only opinions that count. Hey everyone, I'm Steve Noviello. It is time to get for real. First up on the panel tonight, how she shapes her nails is not the only point she'll make tonight. Welcome, Peyton Yager. Plus, he puts a pause so pregnant when he signs off the air, it ought to have kids. From Fox 4 News. It's the face behind the fedora, Shaun, Rabb. Welcome, friend. And she loves a good saltwater taffy. We just kind of love when she's salty. Tara is here from Wake Up with the Wolf. It's our last day together, and what a fun time it's been so far. So we're going to make the most of the time that we've got left because it is time to take two. First came the movie, then came the scandal, but only one of the Varsity Blues plots ended in federal prison. It was 2019, and desperate to get their kids into a good school, a laundry list of parents paid big to influence undergraduate admissions decisions. 53 people got caught paying more than $25 million to inflate entrance exam test scores and bribe college officials. Sounds like a bargain when you consider that $59 million wedding somebody just threw a couple of weeks ago. But there was one problem. Unlike a lavish wedding, this was all totally illegal. Among the biggest names on the list of the parents who paid up, actress Felicity Huffman, best known for her role as Lynette Scavo on Desperate Housewives. She pleaded guilty to federal charges to paying $15,000 to have proctors correct SAT questions which her daughter answered wrong. And now, in an exclusive interview with ABC, she is talking about why.
It felt like I had to give my daughter a chance at a future. And so it was sort of like my daughter's future, which meant I had to break the law. I know this seems crazy at the time, that was my only option, to give my daughter a future. And I know hindsight is 20/20, but it felt like I would be a bad mother if I didn't do it. I kept thinking, turn around, just turn around. And to my undying shame, I didn't. I think the people I owe a debt and an apology to is the academic community, and to the students and the families that sacrifice and work really hard to get to where they're going legitimately.
She was sentenced to 14 days in prison, a $30,000 fine, and 250 hours of community service, claiming she would have felt like a bad mom if she didn't do it. Mom?
She has an opportunity a lot of parents don't do, to send her child to a college. I feel like her child had an opportunity to get into a lot of institutions. This was getting her into an elite institution. She still has a future if she goes to a school that's not so fancy, right? So I don't know that I'm buying that argument. I get it. I would love to give my children the world and send them to the most elite college to get the most elite education, but she has a future on the grades that she made. I can't imagine having the conversation with my daughter about, well, honey, you're not smart enough to get in here, but we're going to work the system so you can, so you have a future.
Right,
okay, good. Okay, good. And
so
how horrifying for her.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm interested to hear what you have to say, Shaun.
Well, you cheat to get in, you cheat to stay. And if you cheat to get into school, what else will you cheat to get into?
Again, the kid didn't cheat, the mom cheated.
Right, but I'm saying the mother has this mentality to do whatever by any means necessary to help her daughter. What else would she do later in life? And I think she also owes an apology to her daughter.
Yeah.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah, honestly cringing watching it. I mean, we all cringe when we watch it. I just remember just working so hard. I was not good at the SAT, and just studying and going to all these practice exams, and then someone's just changing it. It's just, how are you not thinking about the other kids?
Right.
I mean, now she's probably saying that and maybe being told to say that, I don't know, but how are you not thinking of the thousands of other kids?
So I'd like to take the contrarian opinion here and kind of double click on it. I mean, is it possible that this woman lives in an environment where, unless there is a diploma on the wall from the most elite place, there not only don't doors open, but there are just simply no doors for her child? I mean, in the space in which she lives, is that a factor?
I find it hard to believe. I'm sorry. I find it hard to believe. So you can't get in Harvard, but where can you get in? There are other great schools. I just don't believe that's a reality. I get she's an actress. I get she lives in a fantasy world to a great extent, but that is not something I can wrap my mind around.
No, I mean, I agree. I mean, I went to a little state college and I've had a very successful life. So I don't think that not being able to send her to an elite college makes her child not have a future. I think she's not being realistic. And I don't get it, but I also cannot relate to having that level of finances available to me either.
To be able to even do that to begin with, you know,
Sure.
and I get that all these, we hear these mea culpas afterward and they're heavily produced and whatnot, and the words are very heavily chosen. But I will say, and I don't support what she did, but that the sentence where she says, "I felt like I would have been a bad mom if I didn't do it," kind of hit home with me a little bit. I mean, I understand what that looks like. My kids are very young, but I dare I say almost identified with the pressure that I think that parents feel today, you know, to make sure my kid is the best and in these things and in every club and in, you know, president. I mean, back when I was going to college, you had a couple extracurriculars. I mean, I did a video application, which was unheard of in the 90s, and you got in.
Right.
Now you have to, you know, split the atom if you want to go.
Yeah.
All this stuff matters, and they want to know about all your volunteer hours, even while you're in high school and all of that. And yes, you want your kids to go further, do better, and go to greater schools than you did. But there comes a limit to what you do as a parent. And I think you become a bad parent when you do something like this to your child.
Peyton, do you have any sense at all of that, like the pressure that this woman, she seems to have felt to say, I had no choice, which we know she did.
Right, I'm not a mom, and I'm not a mom. So, but and my mom never pressured me. I do know the pressure of nowadays trying to just cram everything on that resume because that's really all they're looking. But she could have gone to any college, honestly.
Any other college.
She could have gotten into a state college easily and had a fantastic career.
And she actually got into a good college with her own SAT scores later.
And ended up going on.
And don't you want her to be somewhere she can be successful? Because you get her into that elite college and she's not surviving and functioning, then you're set her up for failure, which is even worse in my opinion.
Well, and I don't know that I could live with that secret.
No.
You know, for the rest of my life, that, you know, you go to that graduation for your kid 4 years later and you're sitting there. The only thing on my mind would be, you didn't earn this. And I think that would be even worse for me as a parent. All right. After the break, it is the challenge of the new generation. How to fit hobbies and socializing, yoga, even cooking around that pesky 9-to-5 job. And if that holiday gift just isn't what you wanted, go ahead and keep it. We're looking at the new return policy coming to a store near you. Working is like work, right? But what was once just an accepted way of doing things is now being challenged by Gen Zers, like a 23-year-old who was recently summarized in Business Insider as saying, "I've only been working full-time for a few months since graduating from college, and I'm already so downtrodden by it all. How can I make sure I'm eating well and seeing my friends and taking time for my hobbies? How am I supposed to fit my whole life into a 9-to-5 work schedule? By the time I get home after my full-time job, I barely have time to walk the dog and make dinner before it's dark outside. Then I have to make sure the coffee pot is ready for the next morning. I have to make sure I've got something to take for lunch. I'm home for just a few hours before I have to get ready to go to bed by 11 o'clock. Well, it seems that young professionals these days find it just downright wild that there's only time for work and time to go home and time to rest before, guess what, work starts again. So, are they lazy or are they onto something? I'm going to start with you, Peyton, because I would imagine you've never had a 9-to-5 job.
I work 2:30 to 10:30 is my allotted time, but you know, we're finding stories before our shift. We're talking after, so. And I worked in small markets, and now I work in Dallas, and now it seems so amazing. But I actually watched it. I was shocked at these. I was shocked at the comments because people were supporting it. I was shocked by that. However, it's different. It's social media. No one's posting like, "Oh, I'm in my cubicle and I'm having so much fun." They're posting, "I'm in margaritas, I'm having fun with friends." I do think, you know, when you get out of college and you transition into this workforce, you just gotta learn that like it's a big wall that you hit that for some people, maybe they just don't like.
Shaun, do you think that a lot of these people also, their first taste of work life was the pandemic, where you could hang out in your pajamas all day on Zoom with the camera turned off?
That's exactly where it started, I believe. And because of that, that's their first experience. And now you're asking me to come into the office?
Unheard of.
And all day? All day? No. So the only option is to go do your own thing and become an entrepreneur and build your work life around the schedule you want. But if you're going to work in corporate America, 9 to 5, 2:30, 10:30,
Yeah.
weekends and nights.
If it doesn't work for you, though, go pursue what you want to do. I'm all for that.
So here's the thing that I find interesting is that the idea that if it doesn't work for you, go pursue something else is not the suggested solution from these folks.
No.
It's everyone else should really accommodate me by rescheduling. I mean, these people are inconvenienced by face-to-face meetings. They're inconvenienced by phone calls.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Right? I mean,
If only our boss could cover this all in a text, it would just be so much easier.
I mean, listen, the phrase "this meeting could have been an email" comes from somewhere, because I do think that there is a generation of folks who really do like to sit down and on everything, right? But I want to ask you this. Are they onto something here? I mean, what if, you look at like the Scandinavian countries or countries that really have a focus on work-life balance. These people are living longer, they're healthier, they're happier, they're more productive. They get, 10 months off when they have a baby. Are these folks onto something?
Well, I'm old school, so I worked 2 jobs all the way up to being able to work just 1 job like I have now, and I have never had a 9-to-5 job, so I can't fully relate, right? We start our morning at 4:30 in the morning. But, if you can get it all done in a shorter period of time and find a boss that'll let you do that, then I say why not, right? But I promise you, you can get all of the fun and the work in that 9-to-5, schedule
there are
as well.
16 other hours in the day.
Sure,
right?
sure.
Yeah, and she didn't even mention, I don't have kids, but like kids.
Oh, yes. When I'm watching that, all I'm thinking about is, oh, you didn't have time to do all that for just yourself. You add some kids in there where you have to do all those things for them while doing your job so that you can afford to pay for the food to pack for them for their lunches.
And I think COVID, for all of us, brought work-life balance into focus more so. Right. Success is not just in the workplace.
Right.
It is family time.
I can't help, and I hate to be a contrarian here, but point out that everybody's sitting here talking about, look at these people complaining about a 9-to-5. None of you have 9-to-5 jobs. You can go to Pilates and get your nails done and whatever it is you want to do up until you probably start working on your stuff at noon?
Morning is for me.
Yeah.
I'm always on social media looking for stories and getting my nails done. But once I'm locked in at work, it's work.
Yeah.
And I'm sometimes here till 11 p.m.
Well, and again, they're not complaining about work. They're complaining about
the hours and fitting everything in.
9 to 5. When do you go to the dentist? When do you go to the post office? I've never had the experience of needing to, not since I was a night manager at Marshall's, of like punching a clock.
Right.
Sure.
Right?
I see exactly what you're saying.
You would love your job as much if your hours at the radio station were 9 to 5.
No, absolutely not. But we work all the time. I'm sure you guys are always looking for the next thing you're going to talk about on the air. So it's not like I go in at 4, I leave at 11, and I'm done with my work day either. So we're working all day long thinking about what we're going to talk about the next day. If they literally want a job where they start at the start time and finish at the finish time, I just don't think that that's realistic. Most jobs are going to require you to either be there from 9 to 5 or expect you to be working all day, every day.
And we pretty much work all day, every day.
Sure.
We do.
Yeah.
But I will say, by working all the time, for me, one of the things that has kept me in this job at this station is the flexibility that it creates. People always say, what are your hours? And I say, they're consistently inconsistent.
Right.
Mondays I'm on at noon. Tuesdays I'm on good day. Wednesdays I'm here at 2 o'clock in the morning. And because I do that, guess what? I can plan, okay, I can take my kids to the dentist, I can go get a haircut, I can do, because my work, I don't know if I would be very happy.
That's so true. I've just never thought,
But it's also where management
You're probably the closest 9 to 5er here.
Yeah, I am the closest.
Or 9 to 7.
Or 9 to,
Right.
I start early in the morning, trolling for stories, the morning meeting, I'm the day shift guy, and yet, hey, I got a doctor's appointment. And they give me that space. I got to take my kid to the doctor, and they give me that space. That's where management matters.
You are
in our
the
work
guy.
life
Don't
happens.
say the day guy. The guy.
The guy.
All right. Coming up next, if you didn't get the gift, don't worry. No returns, please. The policy that lets you keep the money and the merchandise. Plus, it is your turn to weigh in. If you're watching right now, go ahead and sound off with a video message to 469-818-9114, or you can check out past episodes. They are all streaming for you on Fox Local. It's always important to know a store's return policy so you don't get stuck with something you just don't want. But now a new trend in retail is telling people to skip the send back and keep the cash. Take a look.
Once upon a time, if you wanted to return something, you had to keep the receipt. Now more stores are telling you to just keep the item. The keep it, or returnless, store policy was used by more than 59% of retailers for unwanted products whose returns costs exceed their value. The typical return costs retailers about $30. This drains profits because they must be transported, sorted and resold, often at a discount, or disposed of at a loss. However, it is not widely communicated as retailers worry the policies could be abused by shoppers. Best way to avoid returning something? Watch Steve Noviello's holiday gift guide and you'll always find perfect items. Did I read that right, Steve?
Well, thank you for the shameless plug, Moira, our AI reporter. And I have to say, yes, you won't return anything you find there. Those are well-vetted gifts. Okay, I want to know who has returned something they've worn.
Oh, return something to a store I've worn?
I totally
To the
have.
store?
Yes, when I was younger and had no money.
Maybe like younger.
Yeah, for sure. I said ever, right?
Really?
What I'm most surprised about here is the percentage. 59% of retailers are saying they've adopted this new policy of just go ahead and keep it. I've experienced that on Amazon. Has anybody?
Yeah, Amazon.
Yeah, and you're like, oh.
I bought the wrong size staples and they were like, oh, just keep them. I'm like,
no.
oh, thanks, I can't use them. But
Right, now
okay.
I've got these staples that I can't do anything with here, right?
So what do you do with it? Throw it away?
We have like a Facebook page in our city where people can exchange things, so I just put it on there hoping someone had it. But we also bought like a table and chair set for our kids when they were little, and it was dirty when we got it. And they sent us a new one and told us to keep it, so one became our outdoor toy.
Right.
I mean, we went ahead and used it. I don't know if that was against the rules. They told us to destroy it, but.
I mean, right, well, and some places they'll say, send us a picture if it's electronic with the cord cut and we'll send you a new one. But the interesting thing here that I think that people are asking about is, do you think, I mean, it's a nice idea to save people money, but will we as a society inevitably take advantage?
Of course, someone will try.
I mean, yes, someone will. But I feel like I feel like the companies have to have like checks and balances, right? Like if you keep doing it,
They're
when
gonna
they
figure it
know.
out. Yeah, they're going to know, just like the person who keeps buying stuff and taking it to
Yeah.
stores
Right.
and taking it back. Same thing. Guy today I heard about with his own barcode on stolen Target gift cards
Yeah.
with his own barcode.
Yep.
People will always
Yeah.
figure out a way to try to beat the system.
I had a woman, so we were joking in the last segment about being the night manager at Marshall's. True story. I had a woman who used to come in, she would buy a bunch of stuff, she'd go home, she'd carefully remove the tag, and she had a Denison gun, that's the thing and she would re-tag her old clothes and bring them back with a receipt from the stuff that she had just swapped the tags out. And we used to give her her money back. I mean, this went on for at least a year.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, and she made a lot of
Somebody's
money. Right?
watching right now going,
Yeah, she's watching. She's out there.
Right? Not a bad idea. The part here, and of course you don't know if it's going to happen until you process the return.
Sure.
Yeah.
I've seen it with Amazon. I've not seen it with regular big box retailers, but again, we talked about it earlier or yesterday on the show, this world of kind of disposable clothing and disposable commerce that we live in is to the point where it's just so expensive to move this stuff around the country that have we kind of found a loophole.
And oh my gosh, repacking it up and then going to UPS. Like I'm excited.
it also tells you that there's a whole lot of profit built into the prices we're paying for
That's
things.
true.
Well,
Sure.
right, and how much did you make if you can afford for me to just keep this?
Exactly.
I think is really kind of the bigger question here,
Yeah.
right? All right, more questions after the break, including this. How did she get a job as a Bucc-ee's taste tester? We're going one-on-one with Tara Ward. It's next. Last night on the show, we talked about a new study which showed millennials put the price of happiness at about $525,000 a year and $1.6 million in the bank, far more than every other generation alive. Kenny in McKinney says, watch what you wish for. I can say that while I've never made $525,000 in a year, there were a couple of times I either got reasonably close, had the big house, et cetera, but looking back was the most miserable time in my life. And Shaun, you mentioned that yesterday on the show, right?
Problems.
More money, more problems, right?
For real.
Janine Bowden chiming in from Oregon has some pretty frank advice. $525,000, she says they better get used to being unhappy then. All right, nothing makes me happier than a road trip that involves a stop at Buc-ee's. And one of us is getting paid to eat there. You're a Buc-ee's taste tester.
Well, it was really fun. So financebuzz.com always does these things that were like pay you to watch movies for a certain amount of hours
I
and
see
review
that all the
them.
time, and I think, who ends up getting the job?
That's what, so I entered so I could tell our listeners how to enter because I wanted one of them to be the taste tester for financebuzz.com, and they called me and told me I got it, and I was like, what? So I literally got to go. They wanted me to try like 20 items. Not a hard job,
Not
y'all.
a hard job.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, are we talking like brisket sandwiches or beaver nuggets?
Yes,
or...
did you know they have a 3-meat sandwich?
Yes.
It's got brisket, it's got, yeah.
You know I would know.
That's like a full meal. But the bakery at Buc-ee's is outstanding. I didn't know because we hop in, we get the Buc-ee's nuggets and we leave. But see, potatoes are my love language, and they have homemade potato chips there.
They're so good.
They have beaver potatoes, like little hash browns, and salsa. Did you know that Buc-ee's has salsa?
Yes, that I did know.
It is
That I did
next level, but I had so much fun. But I will tell you what my favorite thing was. It was an impulse buy at the register. They have this Fruity Pebbles Rice Krispie
Oh my God,
treat.
I get them all the time. Yeah.
It's huge, so I was slicing off of it for a couple days. It was so delicious. I mean, one of those things where I'm looking around the room, I'm by myself going, is this really this delicious?
Yeah.
But it was the best job ever. I had so much
They are
fun.
incredibly sweet, I will say that. So
Yes.
what I want to know is, how much did you get paid, and was it in cash or was it in Buc-ee's food?
Well, they paid for my food,
Okay.
and then they also paid me $1,000 to write the article.
I'm doing it. I'm
Where do
calling
they
it
apply?
out.
Where do they
Where do
apply?
I apply?
I mean, that's more per word than we get, right?
I mean, there's nothing better than getting paid to go to a place that makes you happy every time you walk through the door anyway.
sure.
But it was an amazing experience. And I got to try a lot of foods I hadn't tried before. A totally different perspective. When y'all go, take a left, go all the way, and then take a right and go all the way, because you're missing out on some of the most delicious food. Seriously. And they have a beef jerky counter with like 15 different flavors of beef jerky. Who knew?
All right, tonight's episode brought to you by Buc-ee's. It's been an amazing week.
Thank
Getting
you
to
for
see you and
having
know
me.
you. Please come back and play with us again sometime. We would
Anytime. And
love
y'all all
to
come
have
on
you
and be on the air with us on the Wolf.
Perfect. I'll do it. All right, that is our time for tonight. You can tune in next time when our panel is going to shift. We're going to welcome Shannon Murray, Mike Ducey, and North Texas Dynamo Cheryl Action Jackson to the show. Remember, whether you're just starting your day or just wrapping it up, opinions are like air fresheners. Yours is kind of nice, but everyone else's stinks.
The fresh fly suit, pressed, you know he's looking proper. The mic is a knife and it's only getting sharper. R-A-B-B, that's who he be, kicking it with me. DJ RC2, that's true, that's what I do. I pick up a camera and I spin it on you. High on knowledge, you'll leave in rehab, cause I'm kicking dope rhymes with my man Shaun Rabb. iPhone, TV, whatever you use, rolling with Rabb, Box 4.